For 50 million years, it slept. Not a sleep of rest, but one of profound imprisonment. Its name, once a hymn of terror sung by dying stars, had been erased by time. Its essence, a fusion of primordial dragon fire and infernal will, had been bound, sealed, and buried beneath the grinding weight of countenance. To the beings who walked the surface, it was a myth, a geological oddity. The mountain range they called the spine of the world was not a range at all, but the fossilized vertebrae of the slumbering titan. Its prison was not perfect. A hairline fracture, a flaw in the celestial geometry of the seal, had existed from the beginning. For eons, it was nothing. Then, a species of clever, feverish apes arose. They named themselves humanity. They dug, they quarried, they drilled, they sought oil, metals, geothermal power. Their machines were gnawing teeth on the bedrock of the world. For centuries, the vibrations were a minor irritation to the sleeper, a distant itch. Then one day, a deep-core plasma drill, probing the mantle for a new energy source, struck the flaw. The sound was a silent scream that traveled through the planet's crust. It was not heard, but felt. Every living thing with a spine experienced a jolt of inexplicable ancestral dread. Deep in the dark, in a cavern of its own ossified flesh, the dragon demon opened an eye. The eye was a slit of liquid obsidian, reflecting no light but emitting a cold, intelligent malice that had not seen the sun since the age of giant reptiles. With the eye came awareness. It remembered. It remembered the war in heaven, the taste of angelic ichor, the feel of celestial chains. It remembered its own glorious, destructive rage, and the betrayal that had lured it into this living tomb. A rage, slow-cooked for millennia, began to simmer. The awakening was not an explosion. It was an unclenching. First, the earthquakes. Not the jerky shudders of tectonic plates, but deep rolling waves that felt like the planet itself was stretching. Cities built on fault lines crumbled. Then came the volcanic eruptions, not from known volcanoes, but from new fissures that split the earth along the lines of the creature's buried wings. The ash that spewed forth was not gray, but a glittering, toxic black that smelled of sulfur and burnt souls. The human world convulsed in panic. They saw only a natural catastrophe of unprecedented scale. They did not see the architect, until the mountain moved. The spine of the world trembled. Peaks that had kissed the sky for millennia slumped, as if shrugging off a heavy coat. From the colossal fissures, something began to emerge. It was not a creature of flesh and blood, but of stone, magma, and shadow given blasphemous form. Wings of bedrock and solidified darkness unfolded, each span blotting out the sky for miles. A neck of flowing black obsidian rose, topped by a head that was a masterpiece of terror, a draconic skull wreathed in perpetual flame. With eyes that were now twin pits containing dying nebulae, its body was a tectonic landscape of scales made of continent plate, its veins rivers of molten gold that were not gold. But the liquefied essence of damned souls it had consumed an eon ago, it took a breath, its first in 50 million years. The inhalation pulled the atmosphere from 1,000 miles, creating hurricane-force winds that sucked planes from the sky. The exhalation was not fire, but annihilation. A beam of concentrated anti-creation, the color of nothingness, swept from its maw. Where it touched, matter did not burn. It unbecame. A coastal metropolis of 20 million souls flickered out of existence, not leaving rubble, but a smooth, glassy scar where city and seafloor had simply been deleted from reality. The drama unfolded not on the battlefield, for there was no battle. It unfolded in the silent, doomed moments of those who witnessed the end of their world. In a bunker deep beneath what was left of Europe, a climatologist watched the demon blot out the satellites. She had spent her life studying the slow, human-made death of the planet. She saw now the irony. They had been fussing over a fever while a cancer slept beneath their feet. A single perfect tear traced a path through the dust on her cheek. Her life's work, her warnings, her fears, all were rendered cosmically insignificant by the awakening of this older, truer end. On a crumbling highway in Asia, a father clutched his 2 children in the back of a stalled car. He pointed at the titan in the sky, its form darkening the sun. "Look," he whispered, his voice breaking. A dragon. The children, too young to understand doom, stared in awe. The father wept not from fear for himself, but from the unbearable grief of a promise broken. The future he had promised them, school, love, grandchildren, was being erased by a shadow from a time before time. He held them tightly, his tears falling into their hair. As the shadow deepened, the dragon demon did not roar in triumph. It spoke. Its voice was the sound of continents grinding together, of stars collapsing, a language older than words that was implanted directly into the mind of every sentient being. I am the consequence. I am the debt incurred by creation, now called due. You inhabited my cell. You nibbled at my chains. You have awakened the jailer. And the sentence is the same for all. It was not evil in the human sense. It was a force of nature, a cosmic necessity that had been postponed. Its anger was cold, ancient, and absolute. It was the universe correcting a balance, and humanity was not even the target, merely the incidental dust brushed from the ledger. It raised a claw, a mountain range with talons, and scraped it across the planet's surface. The cut did not leave a canyon. It left a wound, a gash that wept molten light and screamed with the voices of the geological dead. As the end approached, a final, profound sadness permeated the world. It was the sorrow of a beautiful, fragile story ending mid-sentence. The libraries would burn, the symphonies would fade, the love letters, the dreams, the quiet kindnesses, all would be rendered into nullity by this entity that predated the very concept of kindness. The dragon demon spread its world-spanning wings, preparing to take flight, to finish the unraveling of the prison that had become a planet. In its ancient, pitiless eyes, there was no malice, only purpose. And in that was the greatest tragedy of all. The apocalypse was not a punishment, it was an administrative task. Beneath its feet, the world wept. And somewhere, in the last pocket of radio silence, a child's voice crackling with static asked a final, unanswerable question. Is anyone coming to help? Only the deep tectonic growl of the awakened sleeper answered, a sound that was the first and last word of a forgotten language. It meant oblivion,